Welcome to the Selling Show, where we unpack, repack, and break down exactly how CEOs, founders, and senior executives sell their ideas, point of view, and personal brand to the people who matter most. This is your host, David Newman, and you are in the right place if you want to build market eminence, amplify your influence, and attract high-value prospects, investors, partners, talent, and media opportunities with less chasing and more confidence. Let's go. Well, my friends, we're here to talk about memes and skits. Yeah, skits and memes. And you've seen these online. You're on Instagram, you're doing YouTube shorts. You've seen these. What you probably haven't seen is somebody who knows how to take memes and skits and deploy them as a killer B2B marketing and sales asset, which brings us to Mr. Aidan Brannigan. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, David. I'm excited to talk.
We're going to talk a lot about how this works and overcoming people's maybe a little bit of doubt, a little bit of curiosity. But even before we get to that, Aidan, I'm curious, what was your professional journey that brought you to the work that you're doing today? And what were some interesting pit stops along the way?
Yeah, so I am 24, so I haven't had a super extensive career.
Okay, the show's over, dude. Show's over. Sorry, you are way too young, way too successful. Cancel the episode, guys. Cancel this. We're not doing it. I'm sorry. Please go on.
I was born yesterday. But so I was a freshman in college at the University of Maryland when COVID hit. And so school went online. Maryland was one of the schools that was very wary about COVID. So we were online for the second half of my freshman year, all of sophomore year. So all sophomore year was online school. It was very easy. I was living with three of my best friends and it was a blast, but I was like, I need to do something. I need to do something in my life. So I started applying to internships, at super small startups. I talk about this one company a lot, but it was called Impact Snacks. It was a vegan superfood bar company where you could eat the wrapper. And they saw me, 18, 19-year-old. They're like, you're young, run our social media. And so I ran their social media. It was very niche. I was making memes, short form videos, even some skits. And then that company went under and I parlayed that into a few different opportunities. The one that sticks out the most to me is this company called Overtime, which is a sports media company in New York City. I'm a huge sports fan. I don't know if you can see the Ravens helmet there, but I have even another Ravens helmet down below.
Nice.
And I was making content there, and it was a big media company. That was cool. And then I had a few other stops along the way. I even worked in Web3. That kind of stunk. And then, but the moral of the story, everything was revolving around content, all different forms of content, even newsletters, podcasts, long form on YouTube. And then before my senior year of college, I got hired by a B2B media startup called Workweek. And they had a brand that they owned called the Marketing Millennials. And I was put exclusively on the Marketing Millennials to help scale their audience on social media. When we started, they had 250,000 followers. I was there for a little over 2 years, and we scaled the audience to 1.2 million followers. And then I left and then started my agency full time.
Wow. How about that? That's amazing. So when people think about B2B marketing, it gets real serious, dude.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's we have white papers, we have surveys, we have online quizzes and assessments, we have research, we have all, customer councils, we have all this crazy, serious crap. And then you come across some very serious, very successful B2B brands like the kind that you've been helping. And it's well, why are these guys getting all the attention? Yeah. Why are these guys getting all the booked appointments? Why are these guys getting all the subscribers and downloads and everything?
Yeah.
And talk to us about the skeptical big brand CMO that comes across even the term skits, memes. We don't use skits. We don't use memes. What are you talking about? And you brilliantly have this on your website about humor and how humor especially now in the age of AI and AI generated BS nonsense that's out there, the world is flooded, right, with all of this AI generated content. And how humor humanizes the brand, cuts through the noise, and gets people to actually like the brand before they engage in anything else.
Yep.
So, talk to me about how humor is so successful, and what do you say to that B2B CMO who might come in sort of skeptical?
Yeah, like one thing that like I really strongly believe in, and like I love fundamentals of marketing, and I think humor is like a fundamental piece of marketing that people overlook. And so I'm not necessarily like a bull like on memes and skits saying like this is the end all be all, this is the only solution. I'm more a fanatic about humor, and just right now the best way to convey that humor effectively on social media is via memes and skits, which is what our offer is right now. But like in 5 years from now, that might change. But speaking to like a CMO running a very serious business, like most of these B2B companies print money. Like they don't necessarily need social media to make more money. They already have humongous budgets. They're spending hundreds of thousands of dollars a month on paid ads. The social media is unique when it comes to B2B. And so the way I position it to them is you can go two routes with this humor. You can either become a joke and you can be a class clown, which for some industries actually does work. Like Slim Jim is an example. Their meat sticks on Twitter, they're crazy. They're very unhinged. Even Duolingo, they're pretty unhinged. They're kind of the class clown. And then Ryanair, which is like a UK airline. It's a cheap airline and they're unhinged and they're the class clown. And that actually works. They're consumer facing though. And I always say, I'm like, I've yet to meet a B2B brand that wants to be the class clown. So instead, we use humor to signal intelligence and understanding and awareness of your target audience's like deep-rooted pain.
Yeah.
That starts to get then ticking that like, okay, memes, okay, this is not just like something fun to do. They're thinking about it strategically and they're using it as a way to build a community and sell to people without them realizing they're selling. So I know I'm like jumping around here, but even if you look at Ryan Reynolds, he's like a big inspiration, at least professionally for me. I don't know what goes on with his personal life, but
Yeah.
And I think he's very clever. He has an agency called Maximum Effort, which runs some hilarious campaigns. They were the one behind the astronomer campaign.
Yes.
But they're just so effective. Humor is just breaks everyone's guard down so that they're actually going to receive your message.
You know, it's funny. I wrote about this in my first book, Do It Marketing. And the line that I wrote is the reason to use humor in your marketing is because humor indicates mastery in reserve. So if you're just basically struggling to be competent and to put yourself out there, you're going to be very, very serious. If you can afford the next level up from that, which is let's have some fun, right? Let's make people smile. Let's make people laugh. There's an enormous halo effect around that. Well, these guys, they're not saying we're so competent. We've done the research. We've got 1 million engineers. We're smarter than Chat GPT. The laughter and the humor says, well, these guys must be amazing at the fundamentals. Their product must be fantastic. Their service must be incredible. I'm sure they're a premium brand because they can afford to have, ads and a social presence that makes us smile.
Yep.
And I think today that's true even more so than when I first wrote that book. And humor is mastery in reserve. So the halo effect is they must be great at what they do. They must be the market leader. They must be awesome and amazing, etc.
What year did you write that book?
Well, that's a problem because it was 2013. Okay. The dark ages, prehistoric times.
You're setting a trend. That's early. That's early on it.
But yes, I think that is really, really critical. So talk to me about the process that you use when you're onboarding a client, because you talk a little bit about this on the website, and I think it will reassure your economic buyer, whether it's the small to medium size CEO, founder, SaaS founder, CMO of a large company. What's the intake process, how do you research what's going to land in the world of humor with the right people that they're trying to connect with?
Yeah, it's like the most important piece because like I use this example, like even if like sometimes brands are hesitant, they're like your background's not in this niche. Like, how are you going to be able to make this content? And I have to reassure them, like, we have a process to extract the right information we know we need to be able to make this content. So I always use the example, like if you take a British comic like from Manchester and you throw him in West Texas and he's talking about British humor in West Texas, this is going to be the worst act ever. So it's like, I tell them, we're aware like what happens when we don't do the right level of research. Like it's not going to come off tastefully. People are going to think this is cringe, and we're like an antidote to cringe. And so what we do is we have an intake form and it has information on their ideal customer, like it's their customer persona. And the most important piece of the intake form is pain points. So every piece of content we make, it's not like a meme talking about their newest feature or a meme making fun of their competitors. Instead, it's a meme about the pain points that their ideal customer is feeling day to day without our client's product or service in their life. And so we usually have clients list out 10 plus pain points. And then once we have the customer persona, and let's say it's like a 55-year-old IT director, immediately gut check, that person's not on TikTok. All right. So we're not going to be researching much on TikTok. We lend more towards Twitter and LinkedIn, and we'll join some different communities, or even like a Reddit group, and just trying to understand how they speak, learn the different dynamics in the roles. Like a good example of this is marketing and sales. There's like a clear dynamic between marketing and sales that is evergreen across every company, every industry. And so we try to find those dynamics in any industry. Like, is it the IT directors and new hires who are putting in company information on public Wi-Fi at a Starbucks, and like finding those unique dynamics?
Yeah.
But it all goes back to pain points. That's like just directly answered.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you this, because this relates to the question I wanted to ask. Is this most of your clients, is this their first foray into leveraging humor, or is it not their first foray, but now they want to do it with skits and memes?
It's like 50-50. 50% of our current clients have tried something funny and are aware that like, hey, we have this brand voice. There is a tiny piece of it that is witty. We just like have barely dabbled in it. And then there's this other piece where it's like, hey, we have like cool branding and like fun branding, but like we've never positioned it in a funny way or a witty way. Yeah. And so they come to us. But like what we say internally at No Boring Brands is people are problem aware for sure. They're just solution unaware. So our solution is so niche and so narrow that people don't even know a service like this exists.
Yeah.
Bigger problem, which is lack of social media growth. They are like astutely aware of that. So that's what, like with my content on socials, I try to like bridge that gap so people can realize a solution like this is aware. But 50-50, I'd say. Some have tried it, some haven't.
Hey now, what a great episode, right? Are you ready to build your own market eminence game plan using the power of speaking, publishing, and podcasting? Book a chat with me to build your plan and see if and how I might help you further. The link is doitmarketing.com/call. No sales team, no pressure, no goofballs, just you and me having a CEO to CEO chat about what's possible for you and your company. Hop on with me, doitmarketing.com/call. And now let's jump right back into the interview. And so the ones that have not, you put out the initial round of content. Do you sort of warm them up into it? Like, do you kind of take it easy first? And it's, it's not like crazy full bore, off the chain, and then you sort of ramp it up gradually, or maybe even they get so excited, right? They see the first couple things that are like mildly funny or mildly humorous, and then they come to you and say, Aidan, you know what? We had another idea. How about if we do an even crazier one?
Yeah.
And then now going to the next level, level 2, level 3, level 4 becomes their idea because they see how well level 1 worked. Is that the usual dynamic, that you start sort of, not tame, but you start mild and then you ratchet it up to medium hot and super spicy?
Yeah. So like, honestly, we never get to super spicy. Like, I'm not an edgy person really. So like,
Yeah.
we have just our guidelines as an agency is, even if a client specifically requests it, we tell them we stay away from this. We don't talk about politics. We don't use political references. We don't use political templates.
Sure.
We don't talk about religion, and we don't punch down on people who can't defend themselves in the moment.
Yeah.
So it never gets to the super edgy point, but the edgy content absolutely works. I just was like, I don't feel like it doesn't fill my bucket up. But
Right.
yeah, so when we make that first batch for a client that's never had this content before, the first batch will have an insane range. So we'll do we'll take so many different angles with the content and get their gut reaction. They might be like, all right, these 3 are phenomenal. These 2 suck. Or like they might like all 5. And that kind of gives us the green light, like all these 5 different avenues. Like this one is pushing a little bit more this way. So that first batch is like you said, it's a feeler. We are
Right.
giving them a range, and we want them to tell us what they're comfortable with. But
Yeah.
we have had clients, one of our clients, Regal, which is an AI voice agent company. So they help like if you called Google customer support, it'd be like an AI voice agent you can have an actual conversation with.
Yeah.
So the first round of content we made for them, we sent them 2 concepts for this one video. One was definitely a little bit more out there.
Yeah.
And I was like, so here are the 2. We made this third one. We probably didn't think you'd be wanting it, but we're going to send it to you. And their CMO was like, this is hilarious. Do this. You can push the limit more. And I'm like, okay, great. Let's go.
And I think once people, obviously you do metrics reporting. So your clients see the impact, they see the needle move. And when that happens, do they do more of the same? Do they sort of get a little bit more bold? Do they just increase their the volume and keep the level kind of the same? What's kind of the ramp up? Let's scale this up now to a big strategy.
Yeah. So what we've seen work best with brands we work with are when they use our content to supplement other content they're creating. So like their blog posts, their their new feature content, their series or new funding round posts, or their team posts.
Sure.
Our content gets excess eyeballs onto the brand, and it creates a waterfall effect that gets all their other like very typical B2B content tons more eyeballs.
Yeah.
So like we like to do the song and dance, pair our content with that. But we do have a couple clients now that only use our content and are like entirely humor led. And it usually, what we tell them is, when we start out, we're going to test different formats. Whatever works, we're going to do more of. What doesn't perform as well, we're not going to do as much of. And so we kind of hold their hand through it. And we're like, this is what we think will perform the best on social media, because they're hiring us as the experts. And we don't really, like, as far as the level of like aggressiveness in the content or like boldness, we don't really think about that too much. We might just ramp up the quantity of the content.
Sure. No, that makes perfect sense. I will tell you one thing that I really admire among several is that you drink your own Kool-Aid, right? So even on the website, right? So the website is terrific. It's noboringbrands.co. You're on the website looking around a little bit. In the upper right corner, it's a button that says book a call. Yes, you. You're on the site browsing around a little bit. Pop-up comes out and says, hey, you, book a call. I know you're reading this. And it just sets the tone for, okay, these guys are funny. These guys are approachable. They're in on the joke. And, even the case studies are great. You've got the big, when people first come on the site, it says, hey, our website has 3 pages. It's like 1, 2, 3. And then I also love the bold statement that says we do one thing. Actually, we do 2 things better than anyone else: skits and memes, memes and skits. I remember I was in a sales conversation this person was sort of hemming and hawing, and I never use pressure. I never do anything that would make someone feel uncomfortable. But they were kind of going to get off the call going, yeah, let me think about it. I said, listen, take all the time that you need. I will just tell you that for what you want to do, we are one of the top 3 companies in the world that you could partner with. And you need to know that. And I said that drop dead serious. It was a Zoom call, so it was face to face. I said, you just need to know that as you're evaluating your other options. And the guy comes back, and this is 2 or 3 days later. He says, David, I'm in. And,
Nice.
and he says, I got to tell you, my business partner really loves the fact that he calls it a fact, really loves the fact that you're the top 3 in the world at doing what you do. I said, well, good. And you're about to experience it. So let's get you signed up and let's go. And that's what we did. So, that level of confidence that also includes humor, because I said that, yes, it's serious, but who the hell would say that on a sales call?
Yeah.
It's like, by the way, you need to know that we are the best in the world at doing X, Y, and Z. Mm-hmm. Now, when you're talking about yourself, clearly that is not an objective statement. That is a subjective statement. But it gives people confidence. Like, well, these guys, they must be like thebomb.com. And so we totally have to hire them. I'm curious, this is all just a big preamble into a question, believe it or not. Was your site always this cheeky, in your face from day one, or did you add that as you start to grow some confidence and some market presence?
Yeah, so we are like, unironically, like 2 days ago, I stayed up till 3 a.m. and I was editing the site. So the site you see now is substantially different than what it was even Tuesday afternoon.
Oh, nice.
But so when we launched, we built the site and we were about to publish it, and we were going to do our launch like the week after. And Shiv, who runs operations at No Boring Brands, he's like, there's something missing here, Aidan. Like, I think you need to show the personality, show your personality on the website. And so I started seeing these little gaps where I could add tiny quips of funny storytelling throughout. Yeah. So there's still a little bit of that on the site. So we had this little custom cartoon guy that was on same brand colors as No Boring Brands. He was just like this little cartoon, and we put tiny captions around it. So one of them was there's a section on the site that says why humor. So it's 3 statistics from studies that Oracle did on humor's effectiveness in selling and marketing. Yeah. And there's a book a call button, and right below it, there's this tiny green guy, and the caption says, please book a call. I need to pay rent. And then for a while on my hero image on my website, I had our content, and then we had the logos of the brands we work with, and then a little caption to the left, and said Mom, I know you think I'm lying, but this is a real job. And it was these tiny little things. So it was cheeky from day one that we launched the site. Yeah. Now it's a little bit different. On one of the pages, it says the header is, this is where you're impressed by what we do and you book a call. And it's pretty funny. It's just I don't want to be the guy who's selling. You don't want to be that guy that's, he's trying to sell. Right. That does work, but that's the old school car salesman trick. Sure. The brute force, like you said, the pressure. I don't want to.
Wait. We're not just going to listen to this episode. There are downloads, there are resources, there are links, there are bonuses waiting for you on this episode's page when you go over to doitmarketing.com/podcast. That's right, doitmarketing.com/podcast. Grab the notes right under this episode. See you over there. Well, and again, humor, going back to my philosophy on this, humor does indicate mastery in reserve. So no one's asking because the website is funny, the examples are funny, the case studies are powerful, you use metrics, numbers, before and after, all of the hardcore credibility in a wrapper of humor and fun that makes people laugh, makes people smile. It kind of lowers their shields, right? And then it's book a call. I guess I should book a call. I mean, these guys seem to know what they're doing and they seem to have some fun. Because God knows that when people think of fun, booking a call is not in that category, usually. Yeah. And if you say, hey, you know what, this is not going to be like all the other calls with all the other agencies and all the other stuffed shirts and goofballs that you've been talking to, you're going to talk to a fun team that's going to get it and that is looking to help you and serve you, not to pitch you and cram stuff down your throat. Share a little bit about some of your favorite case studies, or maybe even a case study where the CMO was perhaps a little bit initially hesitant or skeptical.
Our two case studies that we like to highlight the most, in both instances, one, it was the CEO was very skeptical from the jump. So skeptical that he hired two agencies at once and let us know that he hired another agency to kind of compete and see who would who's the cream of the crop. So we signed a 3-month agreement. This is about a year ago. And they signed another agency that was making pretty similar content. We were making memes and skits. They were making almost exclusively skits.
Yeah.
And right from the jump, within the first month, we had a post that did 5 million views. This other agency was struggling. Like, they did make some decent content, but there's levels to it. And there's levels above me. But I have lived and breathed in social media, helped build audiences over 1 million. So we know how to make things pop. And so after 3 months, they extended with us and they didn't extend with the other agency. That company is called Vista Social, our client. And so we've been working with them for almost a year now. And we're going to do almost 8 million organic impressions for them in a year, which is a lot. They have 4,000 followers. So that's a cool case study where it's a social media management software. And then on the flip side, this one's at way larger scale, is this company Trainual, which is a Series B SaaS company in a very competitive market. They offer a service that helps you scale and onboard and train employees via Trainual. They can give them training modules and everything like that. So their CMO came to me, is hey, we've worked with other agencies. This situation on the social media front is so much of a problem we want to solve that I am running the social media. The CMO was telling me this, and they have 100 employees. So the CMO is running the social media because he wants to crack it. He wants to crack the code. So we had a conversation. I was like, yeah, we can get this cooking. And so we've been working with them for 22 months now. And in 2024, we did 100 million organic impressions for them. And we've built their audience. We've almost tripled their audience size. Went from 45,000 to 130,000. With that, we're making memes and skits. So those are cool, two different scenarios where it worked out, faced some skepticism. But one of the biggest things we discovered to overcome the initial skepticism and to ensure that our service does what we say it does is making sure we sign clients to at least 3-month agreements starting off, because it's organic social, and unlike paid, it takes a while to ramp up. But I'm happy to dig into both of those if you want. But yeah.
Now that actually brings up another question. Do some of your clients deploy your assets in paid marketing, or is it all organic?
Yeah, so some of our clients do put it in on the paid side of things. We have no involvement with that. We have no oversight of that.
Sure.
Yeah, that just depends on the client's channels they want to use the content for. One of our clients, Bears Dev, they're the largest fully remote company in the world, and they're using our content for ads. But it's more of an 85-15 split. 85% of our content for clients goes to organic.
Tell me a little bit about, because you can't really have a conversation today without talking about something about AI. How has AI hurt or helped or been part of this whole equation as the B2B CMOs are thinking, well, can't we just go to some of these AI video generators? Can't we just go to some of these AI meme generators? Why do we need No Boring Brands? Why do we need Aidan and team's brain power on this? What's the AI angle on this for you?
Yeah, and we've recognized they can go use AI, they can make memes via AI. They're not going to be good, but that's one of the reasons why our agency is positioned for B2B SaaS and very niche markets.
Yes.
Because to get AI to make or have some, let's say if we wanted to serve consumer facing brands, which we do serve a few consumer facing brands, but the competition is way higher. The barrier to entry is way lower. So we have to compete on price. And as an agency, I didn't want to compete on price.
Totally.
So, like if we went to Starbucks and we're like, hey, it's $5,000 for 5 memes. These are just random numbers, right?
Sure.
They'd be like, are you joking? Like we'll hire an intern for $12 an hour in Iowa who can make just as good memes about coffee as you guys. And then it's like, okay, so we're locked in on B2B SaaS, very niche markets. So the level of understanding to be able to make quality memes is very high. And usually the only type of person that has that level of understanding is someone in like a C-suite or like a VP of marketing working at the companies we're working at.
Yeah.
They could use AI to make memes, but the downside is it still takes time, right? So like another value prop of hiring an agency is you can scale without you having to put in the work, and we can do it.
Right.
Like that's just one way, but we use AI as ideation partners to upskill ourselves in new industries. So when we bring a creator on, or when a creator is put on a project and they're not necessarily familiar with that industry, we've built them a bot that's going to help them upskill in that industry. I mean, it's something we always are thinking about and trying to find ways. And there's tools that you can use AI to make memes like that we have dabbled with. Haven't gotten to a point where we're like super excited about them yet, but we'll see.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. My very limited experience with AI tools, especially ChatGPT and humor, it's not good. It's just not funny. I mean, it's almost like, okay, if you want dad jokes, it'll give you like a whole bunch of dad joke level humor. But, humor is so complex when you really break it down. And I think your point about the niche, right? So what is the audience of a SaaS company, right? What's their market demographic? What are they going to find funny versus what does the man on the street find funny? Completely different universe. Like not even on the same planet, completely different universe. So I think there is absolutely a big need for guidance. And then the other thing you have, of course, is you have the aggregated experience of what has worked for other B2B SaaS companies. Not that you're going to, you don't cannibalize one campaign from another, but you've got proven metrics. Here's this worked for this company with this audience because, and then this over here, this did not work with this audience and this deployment because. And so having that aggregated knowledge from all the campaigns that you've run at the time of this recording, AI can't compete with that. I mean, just sorry, AI loses, Aidan wins. That's how it goes.
Let's go.
That's it, baby. It's on. Bring it.
I love it.
All right. So as we're landing the plane, the final question I'm going to ask you, which is the second question coming up, is how do people get in touch and stay in touch with more No Boring Brands brilliance? Even before we get to that, though, if folks were to take one big picture overarching idea from our conversation today about why humor is important, how to deploy skits and memes in B2B SaaS marketing, what would that one overarching concept be that you'd love to leave with folks?
So I'd start that off with like a statistic. Oracle did a study on humor that found 90% of consumers remember ads that are funny, yet only 18% of business leaders say they're using humor in their ads. Gigantic gap there. So like a signal that it resonates with consumers, and there's a lack of brands giving that to consumers. But the overarching like theme is belief in humor. Memes are just an effective way to convey that humor. And like, I mean, one thing we strongly believe in is applying marketing fundamentals to memes. So memes are typically synonymous with trends, and kind of like almost thoughtlessness. And they're just like the crack of the industry, the quick hit, like throw it out there. Boom. We are applying fundamentals to memes, trying to make evergreen memes. And so that increases the shelf life of the content. So we're not hopping on trends. And if you're listening to this and you want to start creating memes, what I'd recommend is to create evergreen memes, not hop on every single trend that you see.
Right. No, I love that. Absolutely. Jeffrey Gitomer wrote a very successful sales book many, many years ago called The Sales Bible. And one of his lines in there, it may even be a little micro chapter in there, talks about humor. And his line is, if you can make them laugh, you can make them buy.
Yes.
And he says, don't worry about getting more prospects. Worry about making more friends. And when you make more friends, those friends will become prospects, and the prospects will become clients or customers. And so there's no better way to make a new friend than to start with laughter and humor.
Yeah, that's phenomenal.
That's it. Aidan Brannigan, you are a total rock star. How do people get in touch and stay in touch with more Aidan and more No Boring Brands content?
Thank you for having me on, David. NoBoringBrands.co is our website. You can see some of the funny stuff on there. And then I post every day on LinkedIn. Spell my name Aidan. But those are the two main spots.
Excellent. So we'll have links to the website and to your LinkedIn in the show notes directly under this episode at thesellingshow.com. Aidan, thank you for dropping all of these wisdom bombs, and we're going to raise a virtual cup of coffee to the power of humor, and I just cannot wait to see where you take this next.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
And that wraps up another episode of The Selling Show. Hey, tell you what, if you like us, rate us and review us on Apple Podcasts, subscribe, tell a friend, go grab the notes and downloads and extras at thesellingshow.com. See you next time.